This 110 has just turned up on a tow truck. You probably remember it from last year. I did the engine on it. We had a lot of problems with it. One of the bearings had gone in the crank. We did a lot of other work on it. But it turned up today and, well, I don't know if you can see what's happened to it. See this here? Well, that's the sort of pulley belt. Let me take the camera off and I'll show you what's wrong. I'm hoping you can see that down here that the power steering pump has just, the shaft's fallen out of the power steering pump. I've never seen that before in my life. Let's have a look, see if we can see it better from the other side. No, it's a bit tight. I'll show you, we'll take all this lot off here. But why would it happen like that? I can't understand it. That was a brand new pump fitted onto there. It was a ZF pump, a Bosch one. Let me go and show you what it was like. So here we are. This is the replacement. I got one exactly the same, and as you can see, it's a Bosch pump. Where does it say here? See? Made in Brazil. Robert Bosch. Open up the box. It's all well taped up anyway. Oops. There you have. A brand new pump. See? Bosch. Made in Brazil. They're actually ZF. See here? ZF. Whether Bosch bought out ZF, I don't know. But there's no reason on earth why that should go. Why should that bearing collapse? Why? What's happened to it? The bearing's at the front, but why would it go? Let's have a look underneath and see if there's been any oil leaks. So we're looking under the vehicle now, and you can see where I'm sort of pointing up at the pump itself. I mean, there's a bit of wetness around here, there always are, but that power steering hose looks a bit wet. But it's not all over the oil pan, look. Yeah, see there, there's a red dot there. And this looks sort of reddish here on the axle. But it's at the front. But it's like, you would have thought if that pump had failed like that, there would be oil all over the place. I'm just wondering what the hell it is. Why would it have failed so catastrophically? The steering box was replaced just a couple of years ago. The engine looks alright, but like I said, it's nice and dry. There's no leaks out of it or anything. But there is definitely red here. Look. That's not engine oil. So why is it there and not here? You can see there's a little bit weepy on the hose at the top. You see what I mean, where the hose clip is, but that's kind of dry-ish. There's just a little bead, but it's not soaking wet through. And of course, where the connection goes into the pump itself, it's damp, but it's not pouring through. When we look at the hose up here, that's a bit wet, but why would it go like that? I tell you what, we're not going to find anything out here. I think we're going to have to pull it apart and have a look at it. And there's there's water dripping out of here somewhere. Where the hell is that coming from? Oh, you see here? Where the hell is that coming from? Oh well, let's have a look. Well, rather than dragging this into the workshop, I'm going to do it outside. It shouldn't be a very long job because now it's disabled. He also wants me to have a look at the front brakes and the wheel bearing at the front that doesn't sound too clever. So we'll do that in the shop. So, I'm a bit discouraged with this. I just can't find out what's wrong with it, why it's going wrong. So the first things we're going to do is take off the fan. That's a left-hand thread. We're going to take this cover off. Now fortunately on this car, it's had a thicker intercooler fitted at some point, and they've cut the cowling down, so it shouldn't be too bad to get out. So we're going to use an 8mm key to take these little bolts off here. Hopefully I've got a spare belt in stock, and yeah, we should be able to get into it. It's not a difficult job to change, it's just sort of fiddly. Well, we're off to a cracking start because I can't get the pulley off because there's no belt on it. I can't put a belt on it because there's no pulley on the pump. So I'm going to use this tool that I made a little while ago for holding the fan pulley in place while I try and get the pulley off. Now there isn't much room to work. In fact, there's very little room to work. Sometimes you make tools and you think you're funny about making things, and it pays dividends because you never know when you're going to use them. I'll put a link in the top how I made that. So now we can get the fan off. Now fortunately somebody who'd been working on this car before has put a cutout in the top of the fan cowling so you can get the fan out. But it doesn't quite work. I thought that was going to come out. Oh, I see. We have to take the top cover off the AC pump. Oh man, you know, some of them jobs you don't really want to do. I've got two jobs today I don't want to do. One of them's this one, and another one's an F-150 pickup. It's got a fuel sensor problem, but okay, it's a friend of mine, so I'm on bound to do it, but I just can't get into it. Sometimes you get days like that, right? This is the bit that fell off. Look at it very carefully. It's wet, but there's no signs of physical damage, look. The bearing, perfect. All I've got to do is take off the hose clip here and the pipe fit in here. That's 5/8. I don't have to worry about taking these bolts out because we'll do that on the vise. And then there's a bracket that goes around the outside here with 10mm headed bolts on. Take that off and swap it over. It's a very quick job. But what is puzzling me is why it's gone. I still can't get over it. I'm looking at it all the time thinking, oh, that doesn't make no sense. I mean, Well, I'm looking to see if there's a circlip in the front of here, but I think those bearings have been pushed in from this way. And I just had a thought there. I wonder if the pulley was on wrong, but I don't know if you can see here. It's marked front here. These pulleys are marked front and front. It's not that. Let's get it off. To gain better access, I've taken off the tensioner. What we're going to do is undo these 4 bolts here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 on this bracket, and then pull it out. Now, when I pull that out, when I pulled the pump out, when I pulled the hose off, there was still fluid in the hose. Gee whiz, what a mystery. But you can see where the lip here is broken off the front of the pump. Let me get it out and I'll show you. So here's the pump. All we've got to do now is take these 3 bolts off and find out what's gone wrong. But you can see here, this lip here is completely shattered and come off the front. And again, it's a proper pump. Let's take it in the shop and take it to bits. As I would turn the pump upside down, you can see some little needle roller bearings have dropped out. That's not a good sign. Oh, this is going in the scrap. Right, let me get some keys, some Torx, and we'll take that out. So I've got the Torx bolts out. This is the last one. Let's have a look inside. It looks like it's the bearing here that's collapsed. It has to be, because if you look at the vanes in the pump, they're perfect. Look, you see? There's nothing wrong with them. And the pins stayed in. That's okay. And I mean, I expected fully to see this all destroyed. But it looks like the bearing has been pulling on one side. Now the strangest thing about that is it must be, let me go and get the pump and I'll show you. So it seems to me, by looking at the damage on that bearing here, that this has been, how do we say, how can we see from a good angle? It's been pulling like this, look. But how could that be? How could that be? The tensioner is an automatic tensioner and it's working fine. But that's the cause of the problem. The bearings collapsed at the back. And it's oh, I can't really read it, it's a bit damaged. Well, it's very strange. It looks like NSK. I think, yeah, it is an NSK bearing. But why would it go? Well, that's a mystery, isn't it? Well, there's not much we can do with that, apart from put it in the furnace. What a shame. What an absolute shame. You know, I expected that from a cheapy Chinese pump. Not from one of these. But why would the... I could go on like this all afternoon. Why is the bearing gone? Let's face it, it's gone. Let me take this off. Let's get this all boxed back up again. And let's put some oil in it. So there we have the bracket bolted back on and torqued down. I'm gonna leave the plugs on right until we get ready to fit the hoses, because you know, when you're working in a dirty environment, it's quite easy to get poo in these pipes. So let's get this bolted on, let's get it piped up. So the pump's on. I put a brand new belt on. Didn't take long. It's so simple, it's stupid. I mean, all it is when you take one off, you bolt another one on. There's nothing really to show you. Anyway, it's a bit difficult because my camera won't go over the top, but I'm going to start it up and then we'll take the camera off the top, off the stand. Now I've already filled it full of ATF, you know, power steering fluid. That's lovely. Let's have a look at the pulleys. Nothing wrong there. Can't see anything wrong there at all. Tension is working. You can see it's sort of just bouncing a little bit. You can, that's how it should work. The tension has got plenty of tension on it, because you see those two lines there. If there's a line there at the back and a line here. If these are almost in line, if this one's in line, then it's out of tension. So that's a sign. You can look at it straight away to see if the belt's stretched. Apart from that, can't see anything wrong with it at all. When you put the camera back on the stand, now you've got to bleed the pumps through by turning it. I've already done it, but it's absolutely silent when you turn it. So I'm going to put the fan on now. Just before I put the fan back on, I've just thought about something. Remember when I said I was underneath and I saw some water dripping? Well, I checked the housing there, and it was down a little bit. Let me get my pressure testing equipment out. We'll see if there's a leak. There is a leak. Let's have a look. See that? I put the pressure tester on. It's leaking. See? Got it up on the gauge. It's up to pressure. But where's it leaking from? Let me take this cowling out again. Here. That looks like it's been tightened down too tight. Wonder why that is. Or it's blown out. Anyway, the seal's come out. I'm going to put a brass plug in there instead. See that? It's actually started to split. And there's the washer. Hope you can see that. So I've put these brass ones on. These are so superior. I noticed there's one on here, so I'm going to have to top off the coolant. But whenever you get a Defender, change these plugs, because they're absolutely awful. And I think with a bit of pressure it's just tried to force its way out. So I think that's it. I'm going to top up the cooling system from here, and we'll check it again with pressure. So I thought we'd go for a ride with this new pump on. I'm going to pick up some cable for a project I've been working on. See over there, they're getting on with a new road. Gorgeous day again. I don't know what the temperature is. Quite warm. pulsating. Let's try. See what's wrong there. Try again when there's a camper behind us. Oh yeah, you can feel just a little pulse when it's slow. The TDI drives okay. You just have to give it a bit of gas to get it going. I'm quite surprised at that power steering pump, how small the rear bearing was, considering all the tension that's on the belt. I can't understand it, it's so small. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. There's no noise or anything from it now, it just seems fine. But surely it should have been noisy on its way out. I've never seen a pump go like that before though. Anyway, here we are at our local hardware shop. They're all collecting pallets for Winterlude. I couldn't be bothered myself. I used to do it. I used to collect pallets and guns, but it was a waste of time. Get more money fixing Land Rovers. Right, back in a tick.